Hi, I'm very excited to be joined today by Mascha Schilinski, the director of the Oscar-shortlisted feature Sound of Falling, which played at the Cannes Film Festival, where it won the jury prize. And she's coming to us from Berlin, where I understand it's very cold, and she's just arrived. And maybe Masha, tell us how you are, where you are.
Yes, I just arrived from New York and our heating or
Yeah, so the heating hasn't come on yet.
so
And
that's
this is
why I'm packed because here it's snowy and it's very, very cold outside. Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry for that. That must be slightly painful. We'll try to make this interview not too painful. And I want to also introduce Oliver Latch, who's joining us as translator.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Oliver.
Happy
Um,
to be here.
See you both.
thank
Yes.
you for joining. Before we get into the making of Sound of Falling, can you introduce the film in your own words, how you like to have it introduced?
I always say this is the unpitchable film because it's about memory itself and how eruptic and associative and nonlinear memory is. So it's about four girls living on the same farm during one century, and we are looking through their eyes and discovering more and more repressed memories.
The film unfolds with this quiet intensity, and you really do feel like you're giving us a sense of how memory works. There's an intimacy between the characters and the setting and the landscape that feels both external and psychological. And it feels like you're inventing almost a secret language, like a new film language. Really strong camera work where we're looking through, the door keyhole, or we're moving with the characters, and then this kind of incredible sound design. So I'm wondering how you conceived of the film's visual language as a way of expressing emotion or absence rather than explaining it.
Jetzt mal kurz übersetzen. Ich habe wie so ein
Ist völlig klar, völlig klar. Es geht hier also wie du die visuelle Sprache gefunden hast für dieses ungewöhnliche narrative Struktur oder Abwesenheit von Struktur und wie du eben dafür die Sprache gefunden hast, um die Emotionen oder sogar teilweise die Abwesenheit von Emotionen hier auszudrücken.
Yeah. I work together with my old friend, co-author Luise Peter, and we realized during writing the screenplay that we were so interested in all these invisible things, what is written into our bodies through time and what determines us long before we were even born. And we were not sure how can we turn things like this into a film, because all these things seems to be more from a quality of a novel. We collected many tiny stories about transgenerational of traumata, and we wanted to explore these untold stories of trauma, because when we think of trauma, we sometimes think at big events like the war, for example. But we were interested to crawl into the pulse of the characters and to really find out these hidden tiny secrets that nobody will tell you, even not on the deathbed. So it was all about the atmosphere and about what secrets are still in our bodies through time, because there are no words for. So it was all about to create these atmospheres and these scenes where you can feel almost in a hallucinative way that there is something which is hidden, and not nameable. Yeah.
Yeah, you achieve that. And it is so interesting because, as you said, it's 100-year span, it's intergenerational trauma, and it's 4 generations, 4 female characters, and the wars are off screen. We don't see World War I, we don't see World War II, but there's so much conveyed in the performances, and they're remarkably kind of restrained and grounded. And some of your actors are so young. Some of your key actors are so young. And they could not have had much experience. So I'm wondering how you worked with your actors and you built this kind of truth that came from them and is expressed, as you said, in their bodies as much as anything else.
Yeah, love to work with kids because I think that kids have this ability to find out things that we won't tell. And I like the perspective of kids in a filmic way because they are like detectives going through their lives and try to find out about these strange concepts that they are born into and don't know about it. And I love the fact that they can make things visible that we don't think about it more anymore, about our concepts that we are in which we are living. And I I ended up I mean, it was a huge casting challenge with my amazing casting directors, Karima El Jamal and Jacqueline Reeds. We were looking at the first, so for the beginning for Little Alma. So, and we found after casting hundreds and hundreds and no, thousand hundred girls, many hundreds, we found Hannah, and she's just incredible and she's so talented. And as all the other kids, she played some things before, but of course not this main character, and not in cinema. So I wanted to make sure that we can find these specific special faces that you would believe that are in these living in this decades. And we ended up with a mix of professionals and non-professional actors. Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure that all the kids have an access to get into the character, but also find a way out. But I think to find out is sometimes something that we as a director forgot how difficult it is to find a way out. And so I did a very simple ritual with Alma, with Hannah. So every morning I did this magical shower. I just put my hand over her head and said, okay, now you're becoming Alma. So now you're going your turn into Alma. And this was very effective. So effective that one time when she was leaving with her mom for the weekend, after 2 hours, I get a call, and she was kind of hysterical that she's still Alma. I forgot to rewash her with this magical shower, and they did a U-turn and they come back, and yes, and then she was like, as I did this magic shower again, she was like, now I'm Hannah, so now I'm good. Now we can leave for a weekend. Thanks, Masha. So it was very effective. It was funny because some of the adult actors were a little bit skeptical with this technique at the beginning, and after 1 week, they were whispering, "Masha, can you give me this magic shower as well?" And so
Wow.
it became this ritual. And Hannah did sometimes with me this, "Oh, now you're becoming a director." So every morning. So it was helpful.
Wow. Wow.
In washed out, yeah. And I think on the other hand, kids are so smart, and it's like the film it's about. It's that they know immediately if something is wrong or right, and they have their own ideas about death and life. And I learned a lot from them, actually.
Yeah. There's actually a lot about death and life in the film. And again, without having any war on screen, there's a lot lived within the family through the generations. The title of your film is very evocative, Sound of Falling, and it feels both physical and existential. And I wonder what it means to you, what you were thinking when you came up with this very evocative title.
Yes, this is a funny story because for almost 4 years we had a working title. It was The Doctor Says I'll Be Alright, but I'm Feeling Blue. And I love this title very much, but I was the only one. So nobody loved it so much as I did. Everyone was like, no, it's too long. And so as we received the invitation for the competition in Cannes, we decided we have to find another title. We came up with Sound of Falling for many reasons, because falling, these girls are falling in a physical way in this film, but they are also falling through time and space. So, and you're falling from one time to the another as an audience as well. And we wanted to create this stream of images that you can think that everyone who lived there would dream on the same moment, or maybe remembering things at the same moment. And when you're dreaming, we all know this feeling of flying and then falling. I wanted to capture this feeling in this film as well, and so it ended up in the title. And of course, the sound is so important in this film. Billy Mind and Jürgen Schulze, Kai Tabbel, Michael Fiedler, Eike Hosenfeld, all these amazing sound artists worked on this project. And I had this sound from Sound of Falling already during writing in my mind. And we talked a lot about during the editing process, how can we find this sound. Sometimes it knows more than the characters are knowing, or the sound is like a
This is like a witness who doesn't forget anything.
yes, during the characters are trying to repress things in order to survive.
Wow. Actually, that leads well to the next question. I was wondering whether you thought of this house that all the characters live in as haunted in some way. Often it feels as if there are ghosts, or in fact, it's kind of the sound that makes us feel the way the camera and sound work together, like we're moving. Sometimes we're observing your characters, sometimes we're very much with your characters. But I wonder if you were thinking of it as a haunted house.
Yeah, I mean, I was fascinating by the simultaneity of time. So we didn't know how to turn it into a film, all these invisible things that I said at the beginning. And as we found this place, I had this feeling this can be very vessel for all these things that we wanted to explore. And this house has really an own atmosphere because it is like a lost place. It's empty since 50 years, and you could, as we stayed there for a summer, you could really walk from room to room, and all the furniture where like the owner left it before. You could see so many layers of time, and we found so many photographs there. I had this feeling that this house is very bright and warm on one hand, and on the other hand, very dark and very geheimnisvoll.
Very secretive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mysterious.
mysterious. Yes, yeah.
Sorry, unmuting myself. It does. It has that mystery and sense of mystery, but you also have it's incredibly naturalistic. It feels very, very grounded in reality, and not trying to be in any way anything that an American audience is accustomed to in a haunted house film. So we don't want them to think that that's what they're going to see. I wonder if it's so challenging to make movies at all. I wonder if in the planning of your film, in the research, in the filmmaking, if you came across, happy accidents. It's what we call the kind of the chaos. Sometimes you can't control, something unexpected happens, and it works into the film. It works with your film and your storytelling. I wonder if you had happy accidents.
Yes, I mean, I think there's always magic that's happened on set, hopefully. In this case, it was the case. I mean, it was very challenging to make this film because it is my first film out of film school. And so we were very limited in budget, and we had just 33 shooting days for the film. And all these kids were only allowed to shoot 3 hours per day. And then there was this one location, so we couldn't do so much mix match with the schedule. And it became this amazing force, or how do you say, Kraft?
Yeah, the amazing force.
The amazing force from all the craft. The whole team was so on board, and I think this is for me the most this is something that you can't also das ist etwas, was man sozusagen nicht vorher weiß, ob das so funktioniert. Aber dieses ganze Team hat so an diesem Film mitgearbeitet und war so begeistert von dem Film und hat alles dafür gegeben, dass es in dieser kurzen Zeit möglich
So You, of course, never know in advance whether all of this works out and comes together, but the entire team was like so invested in this movie and so enthusiastic about the project that just made it all congeal, made it all come together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and for me, the thing that's for me like a miracle in a way that we were really able to capture all these images that I had in mind, that we could really, that we did no compromises. So it was more about to make sure that we really go into this because we have so less time. I always shot better than 3 takes. So it was really, it was a tough pensum that we did. But this, everyone was so focused because, of course, for the kids, because it was less about rehearsals and more about create fresh impulses for the kids and be very focused, that you capture this one moment that you only have. And I'm very glad that we could, dass wir die einfangen konnten.
Yeah, so that they could capture all this and pull it
Yeah.
off.
The other maybe miracle it feels like you pulled off as a director, and you've spoken about thinking about this early in the writing, the sense of memory and how memory works and how it impacts the body and multiple generations. But I wonder if it was challenging, speaking of translation, to translate that into filmmaking and editing. And you have it, you capture it on the screen, this sense of memory. And one of the things I also appreciated, while you have the house as a central location, you also have fields, you have the river, and there's a lot of there are a lot of memories that come through within this elliptical narrative. I wonder how you did this as a director, how you achieved this.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important part of this project was really the writing process. It took us 3.5 years, and we because we couldn't find any reference for it, and it was like when we tried to create a plot or to create characters, was like the screenplay itself was screaming, "No, don't do this to me," because everything that I was interested, uh, all these invisible things then disappeared immediately when we tried to create something. It took a while, until we understood we just have to allow ourselves to come up with these images, dass wir die Bilder hochsteigen lassen und sie einfach aufschreiben.
So that they would allow the images to surface and then
Oh.
Yeah, and so we ended up with really almost in a, yeah, as well in an hallucinative way. We imaginationed all these things, and then it was like a puzzle to find the connections, and we could find, oh, there are already these connections, and it was about to find this physical transitions, these haptical moments, and the echoes through time, and the planting and payoffs also in the editing. So it was, of course, with the material, different thing than during the writing process. So during editing, it was all about to make sure that you have one scene, and is the repetition right after the scene, or is it half an hour later, and how long do you need to stay with one character, in order that you can switch to another time decade, things like this. But at one point, we had this initial moment where we threw all the rules out of the window, and we realized it's not about kill your darlings, as we all learned. It's about darlings only, and to embrace them and to make sure that they are in this film.
Wow. Wow. It does have that hallucinatory feeling, as you're saying, with all of these echoes and these murmurs that travel between and translate between the generations and the characters. But then you also have, it almost feels photographic, like your visual references are photographs, and there are photographs taken within the film, but there are some beautifully composed scenes that, I wonder what those visual influences were, if those were in your mind.
Yeah, yes, as you said, photograph were such a huge reference for the film. So photos that we found in this place, there was one from a snapshot from the early 20s where three mates were looking directly into the camera. And this breaking with the fourth wall was a big inspiration for the whole film. And that all the characters are looking back, looking at us. And then my amazing DOP Fabian Gamper, we worked. So a big influence was the photographer from Francesca Woodman. She's from New York, and she committed suicide early when she was very young. In her pictures, she's able to capture this ghost feeling, like she was anticipating her own death in a way in her work. This was very inspiring and a great communication tool with all the departments. And the screenplay as well. It was really, every image is in the screenplay, and when you read it, it's more like a novel, and everyone really could feel what is it about. And the directing was also different, because maybe from other projects, because there's so less dialogue in. So in the editing process, I realized how much and often I spoke directly with the actors during shooting. And this was also a good thing, because when I was in the editing room and I thought, yes, this is good, but now please turn your head. Then suddenly I could hear my voice. Now turn the head. So it was really, I was also talking through time with myself in a way. So this was nice. Yeah.
It's so interesting. It is really interesting. I feel you've addressed the sound design in your answers already, unless you want to add anything about working with your cinematographer, who I understand is also your partner. But just as a final thought too, I'm curious whether you want to speak about now being a mother yourself, and whether the anticipation of that was in your mind as you thought through different generations, and maybe in your own family, or whether you were thinking politically about the system that's in us, as we're in a system. It's something Ted and I talk about a lot, but we felt like your film conveys it in this very deep way. There are many layers to your film, and it's very deep. So I guess I'm offering you to speak about any aspect as your final question that you would like to share.
Thank you. I think I would love to speak about the collaboration with Fabian more, because this is of course very, very special thing, because we are life partners, and this is the good thing about it. So Fabian is there when I have my first ideas. So he's able to jump directly in and to think with me, how can we from a technical side translate all these images that I had in mind? How can we find in language? So for example, this reference from Francesca Woodman, she's working a lot with motion blurriness. But when we tested it, we realized that this is not our effect, because it seems like a cheesy video clip effect in a way on screen. So Fabian put all his knowledge on the table, and we ended up with a simple pinhole camera. And because we wanted to create this feeling that you can't reach in memory anymore, that you're not able to get this memory. So for example, there's a scene in the film where Alma tried to remember the face from her beloved grandmother who passed away. She's not able to see her whole face, only parts, details, and there is this melancholy about it. And this was also very important to capture through the lens, this melancholy in a way. So Fabian's camera became like a main character in the film. So he's really like a ghost, and he has this curious gaze. He's traveling through time and space between all these different characters, and it seems sometimes you think, oh, his gaze is one gaze of these characters who were able to look back 3 million years later and get this glimpse of an idea that they were alive. And sometimes you think this is it's the universe itself who's looking at these girls. So it was so interesting to find out the right way to go into this radical point of views and perspectives from all these girls. And he operated as well and did the Steadicam, and we were not able to shoot on film because of the limited budget, and so he created this amazing look in this film, and this grainy look, but this wavy light, this dreamlike light that you, and we decided that we don't want to do different looks for the times because we wanted to create this one stream of conscious, the stream of images, or the stream of unconscious, maybe I have to say.
You achieve something extraordinary, actually, with the marriage between your direction and writing and that cinematography. I honestly, Ted and I watch so many films, and I've never seen any cinematography like it. It's a must see. It's so evocative, as you said, and so playing all these different roles. The camera is giving us all these different views. It's extraordinary. Thank you so much for giving us your time on a busy, busy schedule with freezing cold, no heat in Berlin. I'm so sorry. That's painful. I hope it gets resolved quickly.
Thank you so much for your time and for
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
questions, Vanessa. Thank you so much for
Good luck
having.
at the European Film Awards.
Thank you.
Lastly, we should tell people where they can see your film. I guess it's going to be on Mubi.
Yes, it's a movie, but there is a theater release in the US at the 16th.
Great.
And in the other countries in Europe, film is released as well.
So we're getting out ahead, and we're telling everyone they need to put it in their calendar, make sure they go see your film soon. Thank you again. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank
My
you all.
pleasure.